A warning. Do not watch this alone. What you are about to see was never meant to reach the public. Some reports were sealed. Some testimonies were destroyed. Governments have tried to erase this history, but the shadows remember. It begins in 1776. In Bavaria, a society is born in the dead of night. 5 men, sworn to secrecy, gather in candlelit rooms, their faces masked by darkness. They called themselves the Illuminati. They didn't just seek knowledge. They sought power, absolute dominion over the minds of men and the fate of nations. Their oaths were not just spoken words. They were written in blood, a pact that bound them for eternity. Officially, the story ends just 9 years later. In 1785, the Bavarian government banned the society. Officially, they simply disappeared, fading into the footnotes of history. But some archives never saw the light of day. Some of their most ambitious plans were never destroyed. They just went deeper underground. Letters recovered decades later, hidden in the walls of old manors and buried beneath floorboards, suggested that the Illuminati never truly disbanded. The cells, the secret lodges, they continued to operate in the deepest shadows. Witnesses, too terrified to speak their names, passed down stories through generations. They claimed to have seen strange ceremonies at midnight, shadows moving behind the windows of forgotten estates, chanting in languages unknown to any living soul. They spoke of fires burning with colors the human eye should not be able to see, colors that seemed to warp the very air around them. As the world entered the 1800s, the whispers grew darker. A pattern of mysterious deaths emerged, all linked to one common thread. The victims were all individuals who had investigated too closely, scholars who had unearthed a forbidden text, priests who had heard a confession they should not have, government officials who had stumbled upon a sealed file. They all vanished without a trace. Their families swore that sometimes their loved ones returned, but they were changed. Their eyes were hollow, their voices were low, and they would whisper coded phrases no one else could understand, phrases that seemed to chill the very blood in your veins. The few brave souls who dared to report these occurrences were swiftly declared insane, their testimonies dismissed as the ravings of madmen. Yet, some of their letters survived, passed down through secret channels, written in invisible ink, only revealing their message when held to a flame. They carried a dire warning to the world. Look, but do not touch. Observe, but do not interfere, because the shadows are watching back. Even today, if you travel to certain remote villages in the heart of Bavaria, you can feel it. The locals hold whispered memories, their doors locked tight after sundown. They won't speak of it to outsiders. Ask too many questions, and you'll be met with a wall of silence. They'll tell you that files were burned, that history was rewritten. Some claim that even centuries later, certain houses are cursed. Anyone who dares to enter alone hears whispers at night, a faint murmur from an empty room. They see shadows that shouldn't exist move across the walls, a darkness that seems to have a life of its own. Footsteps echo on the floorboards above when no one is there. Modern paranormal investigators have tried to document these phenomena. They arrive with their cameras, their audio recorders, their sophisticated electronic equipment, but they leave with nothing. They report cameras malfunctioning at the critical moment, tapes inexplicably erased, and electronic interference so extreme that no one could verify what they saw or heard. It's as if the very air in these places resists being recorded, as if a hidden force actively works to keep its secrets buried. Then, in 1930, a discovery was made that sent shockwaves through the clandestine world of intelligence. Secret files surfaced in a restricted government archive, locked away in a vault that hadn't been opened in a century. The dusty file was labeled with a stark warning: Illuminati, do not open. The official who found it risked everything to see what was inside. One document outlined the society's initiation rites, ceremonies so bizarre they defied belief. And one phrase was repeated over and over, scrawled in the margins, underlined, circled: the eye sees, the eye chooses, the eye waits. Those who tried to decipher its meaning, who tried to trace the origins of this cryptic mantra, reportedly disappeared. One was found weeks later, miles from his home, unable to speak, his mind shattered. The other was never seen again. By the dawn of the 20th century, the influence of the Illuminati was no longer confined to the old world. It had crossed oceans, its tendrils reaching into the new world. Whispers suggested its influence had seeped into the highest levels of governments, into the boardrooms of powerful corporations, even into the media that shapes our perception of reality. The truth is still buried, locked away in sealed archives and forgotten histories. But some say they are no longer hiding. Some say they are waiting in plain sight, their symbols hidden in our architecture, our currency, our entertainment. And as the old texts warned, the eye is still watching, the eye is still choosing, and the eye is still waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself to the world. What you are about to hear is a collection of modern accounts, suppressed reports, and experiences that defy explanation. Some claims will seem impossible. Some of the footage we describe was never officially released. Some whispers were captured on audio, even though no one was physically present. The official investigations were buried. This is the escalation. Modern investigators, operating in the shadows themselves, have uncovered a chilling pattern all across the world. From the gleaming glass of corporate skyscrapers in New York to the quiet stone of private estates in the English countryside, and even carved into the plastic of children's playgrounds in suburban towns, symbols are appearing. Black triangles, an eye within a circle, markings that are photographed by a passerby, only to vanish minutes later when someone else looks. They're like digital ghosts, glitches in our reality. Security footage from these locations reveals something even more disturbing. Hours of tape will show an empty, silent building. But for a single frame, a split second, a figure will be standing in the middle of a room. Then, it's gone. Employees will report a sudden cold spot, the feeling of being watched, but dismiss it as their imagination. The cameras, however, don't have an imagination. Those brave or foolish enough to follow this trail of symbols report phenomena that logic cannot explain. Investigators have documented their experiences in private journals, terrified to speak them aloud. Imagine walking down a corridor. You just locked yourself. You have the only key. Yet you hear footsteps behind you, keeping perfect pace with your own. You stop, and they stop. You start again, and so do they. You spin around, and there's nothing but empty air, yet the pressure of a gaze remains fixed on the back of your neck. Doors, heavy oak doors bolted from the inside, swing open on their own as they approach. They witness shadows moving against the light, not cast by anything, but moving with a life of their own, detaching from corners and slithering across the floor. The horror doesn't stay at the investigation sites. It follows them home. Several agents reported the same terrifying experience. A dark figure, always just at the edge of their vision. A tall, slender silhouette glimpsed in a reflective window, in a darkened doorway, in the rearview mirror while driving. The moment they turn to look directly, it vanishes. It's a constant, tormenting presence that chips away at their sanity. Sleep becomes a luxury they can no longer afford. Whispers echo through the walls of their homes, formless and indistinct, but undeniably there. Words spoken in a language they don't understand, yet the malevolent intent is perfectly clear. Some wake up in the dead of night to find letters on their desks, written in their own handwriting, but with messages they would never conceive. The ink is still wet. And then there are the disappearances. Over the decades, a disturbing number of people who delved too deep into Illuminati symbolism, whether online researchers or urban explorers, have simply vanished. Their social media goes silent. Their phones go straight to voicemail. They are last seen heading to investigate a location marked with a symbol. Most are never found again, erased from existence. A few, however, do return. Months, sometimes years later, they reappear, but they are not the same. They are husks of their former selves. Their eyes are vacant. Their speech is a nonsensical jumble of words, and their memories are fractured, like a shattered mirror. Friends and family say it's like the person they knew is gone, and something else is looking out through their eyes. No one dares speak about it publicly. The official story is always a mental breakdown, a runaway case. But those who know, they know it's a warning. Among the most guarded pieces of evidence are the fragments of unreleased footage and recordings. We have a description of a recovered reel of tape from a private investigation in the 1960s. The film is grainy, the audio warped. It shows a dark, wood-paneled room. A figure in heavy dark robes stands over a burning manuscript in a fireplace. Their face is hidden in shadow. As the pages turn to ash, a whisper is captured on the audio. It's distorted, metallic. But the words are clear. The eye chooses who will see. When the original investigators burst into that room moments later, it was empty. The fire was out, the ashes cold. Yet, the camera continued to record. For the next 10 minutes, it captured the sound of footsteps pacing the empty room, faint chanting, and shadows. Shadows crawling along the walls and ceiling like living smoke. Perhaps the most impossible detail, the claim that pushes the boundary of belief, comes from recovered internal documents and personal testimonies. These documents suggest the Illuminati possess the ability to influence dreams. Victims, often those who have recently encountered a symbol or investigated a site, report identical nightmares. They dream of endless corridors marked with black triangles. They dream of a single, unblinking eye filling the sky. They often wake up in a state of sleep paralysis, completely unable to move, their eyes wide open in the dark. And in that state, they feel it. A presence in the room with them. An observer, standing silently in the corner, just watching, waiting. Some swear they saw the eye, not in a dream, but there, in their bedroom, glowing faintly in the darkness, staring right at them. There is no way to prove it. There's no evidence to present. There is only the sheer, paralyzing terror in the voices of those who have experienced it. So, here is the final warning. This isn't just history. This isn't a story from a forgotten past. They are not gone. They never left. The organization has simply evolved, its methods becoming more subtle, more insidious, more deeply woven into the fabric of our world. The eye is everywhere. It's in the symbols you might walk past every day. It's in the architecture of the buildings where you work. It's in the data collected from your phone. And sometimes, it's in your dreams. If you see it, do not look directly. Do not investigate. Do not follow the trail. Some knowledge is too dangerous to possess. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. Thank you for joining us in the shadows. Subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a new nightmare to consider. Stay safe, and question everything.